SmackDown has always been oriented as the more sports and, action-packed type show, where Raw was originally designed to be more of your like entertainment and like crazy segments and type show and such.
I'm going to probably get a lot of flack for this. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to disagree, which is fine. We can disagree,
Yeah.
But I'm going to say SmackDown has the more superior commentary team.
Jacob Fatu is my favorite person whenever they do that shot, because when he starts talking from coast to coast.
I'm gonna beat your behind from post to post. Whose tag division do you think is flourishing a little more right now?
Looking at the mid cards, I don't see a direction for a singles match for either of those championships. I see both of those championships in some kind of multi-man matches, whether a fatal four-way or a battle royal or something like that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Boyz of Attitude
And Men of Now.
I am your man, your boy, Mr. Thato D.
And I am Mr. Loboberry Crunch.
Well, today we are going to be talking about the product. We're going to be talking about Raw versus SmackDown.
Not the games. The actual shows.
Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in, we're like millennials. We played the Raw versus SmackDown video games and such. So we're just going to talk about like what we like, we don't like. We talked a bit on our last episode about different people's title reigns, but we're going to talk about this overall rosters and just kind of how we see different things. We're going to talk about like how the announced teams are doing. We're going to talk about some of the match graphics and, just different ways that they've really taken the product now versus how we've seen in the past and such.
Yeah, definitely. There was a weird time where, I wouldn't say it was a weird time, but remember when like the shows used to really heavily compete against each other?
Yeah.
And then like, you always had like your people that preferred Raw more and people that preferred SmackDown more, And, thinking about like even just SmackDown itself, SmackDown's gone through like a lot of iterations. We had SmackDown Live, now it's just like regular SmackDown again. So it's like, and there was a weird time where like SmackDown, I felt to me, was the reigning show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really just based off of like, where their storylines were going. I definitely have to say that when Roman Reigns was the champion, SmackDown definitely was more of the A show. But at the same time, SmackDown was also on the Fox network. So they really had to push in a lot of their time and effort to really get those ratings up, because Fox was really, really particular on the ratings. Now, don't get me wrong, USA Network definitely, wants to get high ratings and such like that. But Fox being part of one of those big three, NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC, actually big four of those ones and such, the first like the 1 through 10 channels and such, those ones really demand really high ratings and such. So it's worth it for the people that are advertising on their networks to get the best bang for their buck.
So let's start off with this conversation. So let's break the ice now. Let's start with commentary.
Okay.
So we'll Raw versus SmackDown commentary teams. Now, if you were to tell me that, or like, not even tell me, but if you were to ask me this question, like, what commentary team do I think had the superior team? And, I'm going to probably get a lot of flack for this. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to disagree, which is fine. We can disagree,
Yeah. But
I'm going to say SmackDown has the more superior commentary team.
And why do you say that?
The reason I say that, and, I think that it kind of comes down to, unfortunately, McAfee.
Okay.
Now Pat McAfee is obviously, a legend in his own right with obviously everything he does, especially with the ESPN and his football and all that other stuff. Like, he's great as a sports commentator. But
Right.
the problem that I feel like he has is that he doesn't have the same chemistry with Michael Cole that like you put like with let's talk like back in the day. Let's go back to the Attitude Era.
Okay.
JR and the King.
Always government mules scolded dog.
They were legendary. They were probably one of the better commentary teams that we remember growing up watching. They were amazing. And even that, JR and Paul Heyman, they were also phenomenal. And I feel like the only other person that I felt was like a good match with Michael Cole was definitely Corey Graves.
Uh-huh.
Corey Graves sold the heel product so well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You have to have a color commentator, which is, for those who don't really know, the color commentator is always the one that supports the bad guys.
Right.
He's always the one that has to disagree with the good guy commentator, which is the main commentator, which is usually what Michael Cole is now. There's the good guy commentator and then there's the color commentator.
Yeah.
And you have to have that balance because you have to have someone that's able to sell both sides.
Yeah.
You kind of want to get mad at the color commentator because they'll like watch the heel do something completely disgusting and they'll just be like, you're like, oh, well, that's not nothing. I didn't see anything. He's doing what he needs to do to feed his kids and stuff like that. What's wrong with you? Like, why would he want to lose this title? Blah, blah, all that stuff. But that's what makes you feed into it. And that's what makes it helps the heel get over more.
Right.
And it helps like keep that commentary going.
Right.
Wade Barrett and oh goodness,
Joe.
Joe Tessitore. They have that chemistry. I feel like when I first heard Tessitore talk, I wasn't a huge fan of him, but then as time went on, I was like, no, he's good. He's good. Him and Wade found their spot, and the commentary back and forth. Wade Barrett is such a great commentator.
Oh, he's phenomenal. I mean, Bad News Barrett definitely progressed from the original voice that he was when he was actually a wrestler to now he is one of the voices of SmackDown. And he actually brings that color commentary to the wrestling. Sometimes him and Joe may agree on stuff, but a lot of times, you'll hear him, especially he'll defend his buddy Drew McIntyre all the time.
Oh my goodness, I love it. He's like, the Drew McIntyre, you have this bum CM Punk out here stealing the spotlight with good people like McIntyre out here trying to do what they need to. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's what I like. I like the arguing. I feel like the Raw team, unfortunately, one, they suffer because they don't have that commentary team.
Yeah.
They, McAfee and Cole are friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like they don't disagree as much. I feel like they if anything, I feel like they agree too much. The other thing that also kind of feels like it hinders them is that Cole feels like he's starting to lose his touch a little bit. Like he's calling people the wrong names. He's missing cues on like obviously certain moves that are being hit. Like for example, one of the biggest one I'll point out is it seems like he's lost the idea of what the backstabber is versus what's a code breaker. Code breaker is when you hit, like those knees to the face of your opponent from the front, like Jericho used to do.
Right.
And then the backstabber is the one where you hit them from the back with your knees going into their back. But he like mixes them up a lot now. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then the other thing is McAfee does not know all the wrestling moves, and it seems like he stutters over that a lot. And I feel like you kind of get lost in that. And I think that sucks because like obviously Raw being on Netflix now, I feel like it's gonna start to hinder, their product a little bit because their commentary team feels like they're kind of all over the place. Versus like when I listened to like when Corey Graves and Cole were on Raw, they were phenomenal. Like, oh my God, they were so good. And even when they were shifted to SmackDown, it doesn't matter what show they were on, they were still a good team. But like Wade Barrett, especially Wade Barrett being a wrestler himself, obviously he knows the moves, he knows it. And like you said, he sells it. He knows a lot of his friends that are in the ring, so he'll like try to defend them all day. Like he tries to defend McIntyre, he tries to defend all the, the bad guys and stuff like that. But it's good to see that arguing.
Yeah.
Raw doesn't feel like it has that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, so Raw definitely has where I can understand where you're coming from. Here's where I'll throw a reversal back is that this actually gives a different dynamic between the two different shows. SmackDown has always been oriented as the more sports and, action-packed type show, where Raw was originally designed to be more of your like entertainment and like crazy segments and type show and such. So I think where we're looking at it is that Wade Barrett and Joe definitely have that original, like, hey, okay, we have this color commentator and regular commentator, while the Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are trying to bring that more ESPN type of like sports vibe and everything like that. I mean, back in the day, the commentators used to get fed everything that they have to say from, the old management and such, instead of them actually really coming up with stuff. So I think maybe on the Raw one, they're trying to allow them to be a little bit more, like, hey, try to think of something. And one instead of like me demanding, no, you do this, you do this. I mean, Michael Cole said in an interview recently that he actually enjoys how things are going now. Like he's actually able to be himself a lot more and such. Now, where I do agree with you is that, yeah, they need to be more color commentary and commentary. But the dynamic between Pat McAfee and Michael Cole I think is actually a pretty solid one. They sound more like buddies, more like bros and everything, which I think maybe they're trying to draw in that kind of crowd. This is your casual fan comes in and they hear two guys actually enjoying the show together versus you hear one guy going like, oh, CM Punk is trash, where McIntyre, and whatnot. So maybe it's just like where they're trying to attack the crowd. such.
I can see that. I see what you're saying. Like I say, it just for me, like as a like I guess maybe it's because I'm such a I've been a long time fan,
Yeah.
and it could be that. I'm not gonna lie, it could be that. I just feel like McAfee for me, just I feel like he doesn't sell me. That's my problem.
Uh-huh.
Like, it just he doesn't sell me. Like obviously I've tuned into his podcast. I've tuned in, because obviously like out of respect, we're doing a podcast. I like to do my own research and kind of listen to what other people sound like. And granted, he's phenomenal at what he's doing. His sports podcast is obviously amazing. His ESPN stuff is great. I just feel like when it comes to wrestling, though, I feel like the only thing he really adds in there is just that extreme character where he'll call like this Dominic Mysterio is this bum, this piece of because
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. He cusses a lot, and I feel like it's yeah, I get it. It's like an authentic reaction because
Right.
obviously I know that in the old management, obviously they fed the guys, like you said, they fed them like, all right, here's the match result, blah blah, whatever like that. But the other thing too is I noticed that McAfee does is that he also accidentally calls out a lot of things that he shouldn't be calling out. Like he'll be like, "Oh, Bailey calling on audible." Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Then you're taking away the illusion of what this is supposed to be.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, like, oh man, look, she said something to Lyra. Like, stop that. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do that stuff. That's the stuff that I kind of pick at, and I'm like, you're losing me in the product.
Right.
Like I won't lie to you. There was a point I think I watched an entire episode almost of Raw of just muted. I can't lie, I did.
Yeah.
Because it was very commonplace that he was doing it. Now, granted, I'm going to give him some credit. I understand like this is wrestling. This isn't football. So obviously he's very different. And this is where I would kind of have to pick at management and say, look, you guys got to give him some more stuff. Maybe he does. Maybe he needs to be fed certain things. Maybe like, this is where you got to be careful. This is where you have to be. Because I know there was like, was it a couple months ago where there was a technically like a kind of a controversy because he cursed on USA.
Right.
He said shh, and obviously like USA kind of didn't like it, but it got like really good reactions from like the people that were watching it. So they kind of, all right, cool, go ahead, keep doing that. We don't care. We're gonna be on Netflix in like another couple weeks, so go ahead, you just keep it going because obviously USA is not gonna kick us off. But like I feel like that's kind of all he contributes. And then like I said, like it's okay for Cole and him to have the buddy buddy thing. That's fine. But like I kind of would wish to hear McAfee be more of the color commentator, or if it helps add it, maybe have someone, a third party, because I mean at PLEs we have it where we have the third party be the color commentator, to kind of help the heels, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's about entertainment. So if it's about entertainment, then we need to have the heels kind of get pushed over more, because if the heels are consistently being put down, that means I feel like the stories kind of hurt a little bit because of that. You're always strictly only being focused on the hero, and we can say that maybe that kind of is one of the reasons. Maybe like Gunther, for example, we talked last episode about how we thought like when he lost Imperium that he kind of lost his presence a little bit. He kind of felt like he kind of lost that aura that he had before.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe the color commentator being his like backup, Gunther, he doesn't really need to, he doesn't need to stoop to his level, blah, blah. Like Gunther's on a higher level, the guy like has everything, what does he need to prove? Like that type of stuff.
Well, actually, you brought up a good point that as I was thinking about it, back in the day, they used to do a lot where, like, say, for instance, when a wrestler would come out to watch another wrestler's match, they actually would sit with the commentary team and talk with them. And I've noticed that they don't really do that more. They mostly just come out and they'll sit in a chair and they'll watch the match. And I'm like, I miss those. I miss that, like, actual where even we've had, like, the most recent one that I can think of was Bianca Belair during the Rhea Ripley and Io Sky match. Like, typically, if it was like, in the old with old management, they would have had her sitting at the commentary, commenting and talking about everything with them at the table and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't happen as often.
Yeah, I feel like you that's a very, very good point. I didn't even think of that really, but that's a good point. And then that would help even with like the going into like trying to figure, like obviously in that feud we're still trying to figure out who the heel and the face is, because obviously Io's a face and obviously Bianca's technically right now a face until further information comes out,
Yeah.
depending on this whole Jade Cargill situation. But You know, like, yeah, like, yeah, that's another thing. Like, and you could have like those heels. Like the heels would sometimes come out and just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here to observe and see what's going on." Man, look at these guys. These guys can't do it. I could do that when I was asleep. I was 5 years old doing moonsaults. What is this guy like 37 and doing them now? Like that type of stuff kind of keeps you going. And then they would argue kind of with the commentary team. My favorite ones were always like the ones where they would actually like get up and like, you know what? I don't feel like I'm appreciated. Take the headphones off and throw it at them and just kind of walk away and kind of
Yeah.
walk around the ring. You know, The Rock was known heavily for that. Remember, one of my favorite ones was when The Rock took the headset off of I think he was JR. He took the headset off of him and he started talking smack. And then he hit Bubba Ray Dudley with the ring bell.
Yeah.
And then he just told him, he's like, yeah, he's like, you know your role. And then you just put the pen things down. Yeah, like the commentary team is, I feel like it's because it's a lifeline to the characters.
Mhm.
Because you know, we've been to live events and the live events are still phenomenal. But I feel like sometimes when you're at the live events, the one thing you miss is not hearing the commentary team.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like when you don't have a commentary team that sells like the characters that well, like obviously like Dominic Mysterio right now, I'm gonna use him as an example. The man is got so much heat on him. And I feel like, but he's a character that maybe doesn't need a commentary team. But then when you look at somebody like Finn Balor, who is, you know, finding himself kind of weirdly on like a weird place on the roster.
Yeah.
Dominic doesn't need it because everyone hates Dominic already. Dominic is like a heel of heels. Dominic is like beyond a heel. He's like Super Saiyan heel level 3. You know, the man, I've never seen a heel advance even higher to a heel that of ever there's a level beyond that of a heel.
Well,
You know?
he like what was it when he betrayed Rhea Ripley? He was already a heel, and he even went more heel.
Yeah, how do you heal a heel? And then like it was even better with the New Day segment where like he was all like, "Man, I never liked Big E, but that was crazy."
Yeah,
And he
I know,
didn't
right?
even agree with them.
He's like, what?
Like, he just dissed the New Day. But yeah, like, but when you look at somebody, let's say like Finn Balor, and I that's a wrestler that I hold very dear to my heart. I love Balor. He's one of my all-time favorites, and it just feels like, where is he? The commentary team doesn't really help sell him in any way. They, you know, like it's just so bland, and I feel like that because of that, maybe Balor doesn't have like that same backing as like other people. Because again, he's on a show where there's two commentary teams, the two commentators that only announce face wise. They don't really announce heels. They announce face wise. Versus like when you go to SmackDown, you know, Wade Barrett would obviously like, you know, as a fellow Englishman, blah blah blah, and it was like that, you know, like he would like, you know, fellow European, blah blah blah. He would sell Balor up, you know, and I feel like that would help.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. I mean, they have a different way of doing things. It's a lot slow. Like instead of relying on commentary to build it, they've used more subtle things. Whether it's like for instance, Finn Balor, for example, they had like they placed a picture or I forgot what it was, but something that had the demon on there and such. So they tried building up different ways. So and with the Raw and SmackDown, you know, we talked about commentary and stuff. What about graphics? I mean, graphics wise, I think I'm definitely more of a fan of the SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
I like how the SmackDown, you know, everyone is more grayed out and everything. And
The Mortal Kombat styles.
yeah,
I love it.
I love it with the electricity and such. Then on Raw gives that more, I guess, like ready to fight, maybe UFC-ish kind of vibes, I guess.
I can see that.
Maybe or boxing kind of vibes. I don't know. I think SmackDown's like visual branding and such with the way they put the match graphics and the way they show everybody and such. They really they elbow in that one. Like they went in on really developing that, and I think that's probably from the Fox, you know, partnership and stuff. The way they really had to, okay, we got to make sure everything's better. So they're used to that. Now Raw's moved over to Netflix, and they're like, okay, cool, we stepped it up. But I think Raw has some catching up to do to equal up to how SmackDown's is.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that the moving graphics, I've always like they've done it before, obviously, but I think the Raw moving graphics now do look better than they did a couple of years ago. You know, because up until before the Netflix transition, I'm not gonna lie, I agreed with you. It was so cheesy. The very old, outdated pictures sometimes with certain wrestlers that we notice. Even some small mistakes of like certain wrestlers that look like they should be holding they're holding a title, but then you notice that like the color of their tan line. Well, they pointed it out with LA Knight, remember?
Yeah, his
When they
hand,
pointed out that
yeah,
his
hand
arm,
wasn't the right.
it wasn't in the right spot, but there was also like it was Logan Paul's arm with LA Knight's body.
Yeah.
Because I guess they maybe didn't get an updated picture of LA Knight with the title belt, which is weird because I thought usually they end up taking a picture of them with the belt right after they win it. So it's really weird because it's like that's such a random mistake, but at the same time, it's like I agree with you. The SmackDown graphics are phenomenal. Like I said earlier, they give me like a Mortal Kombat vibe where they're like dun 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 like that. The up closes of the faces like right in, or when they do like the full body shots, like look at Jacob Fatu's. All of Jacob Fatu's graphics on SmackDown look crazy.
Yeah,
They make him look intimidating. He looks insane, and I love it.
yeah,
You know, like that made me as a fan love him even more. 'Cause I was like, oh man, this guy's graphics are crazy. And even somebody like like Tamatonga, who's unfortunately kind of like usually like more regarded as like the henchman. Even his graphics look crazy good.
hmm
But then when you go to Raw, like they have like the hand gestures or the hands cracking and stuff, and it's like, but it's really I don't like the graininess because it looks like they're kind of hiding behind like a film.
uh-huh.
But I get they're kind of maybe trying to do it as like a digital screen, But I don't think it does not hold up to SmackDown. SmackDown far
It's
superior.
yeah, it's definitely a growing thing for Raw to develop even more. What about intro music for shows? Like, what's your opinion on those?
What is Raw's intro song?
That that's a great question, actually.
I can't lie to you. I can't. Maybe that's what. I know the Megan Thee Stallion one is for
Yeah.
SmackDown. I love that 1, 2, 3. Well, like, I can't lie. I vibe every time I hear it. I'm like, I like this song.
Yeah,
But like, well, then we just answered our own question
yeah,
because I feel like Raw's intro song is just not there, and it sucks because going back a couple years, Raw had some really good opening things. We had remember the Monday Night Raws, that one.
come on,
Yeah,
come
across the
on.
nation. I still have that on my
Yeah.
I still have that on my
Who?
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one. They had some really good ones back in the day, and it just feels like, where did it go?
yeah,
Recently, where did it go? I feel like SmackDown always had like bangers.
yeah.
Was it that
The
one that
beautiful people.
the beautiful people?
Ah.
What was that? That we were born to run. I love that one, and the black and blue one.
Yeah,
Black and blue, I crawl, and I love that one.
yeah.
I'm mad. I have to YouTube that one because for some reason Apple Music took it off of my Apple Music.
Ah.
Yeah, they took it off. I don't know why. Maybe it could have been a rights thing, but I know I found it on YouTube, and now I listen to it through YouTube Music. But yeah, SmackDown always had really, really good ones, and I feel like Raw just kind of doesn't. I don't know where it is. Like I said, we don't even know what the Raw theme is right now. I think do you feel, and then this is just as someone who watched it, do you feel the reason that maybe we don't remember it is because they don't even use like opening segments anymore? Like, remember there would be like an opening theme song with like the graphics showing and like
Yeah.
videos. Do you feel that because they don't use that anymore, maybe that could be another reason that Raw is hurting?
You know what? Maybe because like Raw has the one thing that I think is cool, and this me being the videographer. I mean, I think the way they start Raw a lot of times is they'll come in and welcome to Monday Night Raw, and then like they'll have that drone shot come in and like they'll show the packed crowd and everything like that, and then they'll have the music playing in the background. So I'm trying to remember what that song is. Maybe you guys can comment and
Yeah, send us a comment down below. We have no idea. I cannot think of it to save my life right now.
right.
Like, if someone put a gun to my head right now and say, name the Raw opening theme, I don't know. But I could sing it. I can sing the other one because it's Megan Thee Stallion.
Right.
for SmackDown.
So, but they come in with that the drone shot. I mean, my wife, she is not a fan of the drone shot. She says it makes her dizzy with the fisheye and other whatnot. I mean,
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. As much as I love seeing it, I kind of agree.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of the drone shot.
I think it's a weird shot, and I think it's only because like, and obviously you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because you're way more adverse in camera stuff than I am, but like I think it's just because of the quality. Because the quality of like a camera shot on a drone is not the same quality as like a camera, like like what we're using even right now to record us with.
Yeah. The one thing, the one thing I don't like the quality of the camera, but I like the idea behind it. Like,
Yeah.
I like the concept. So the drone shot is kind of like yeah, that's cool, but that's one thing that Raw does do that's interesting, but I don't think they need to keep it forever. Maybe I don't know, maybe keep it at least till WrestleMania and then reevaluate if they want to keep using that drone shot.
I think it's a cool shot when you use it, maybe during like the hype of like about a match about to start, like a main event.
Yeah.
You know, like you like because I know that when they usually do it, I kind of wish they do it more. But when like they used to do it, like here is your main event. Oh my god, my voice cracked. That was weird. But what is with my voice whenever we record? There's something wrong with me. Anyway, but like when they do that, like this is your main event. You know, like
Yeah.
I think that would be a great time to get that shot. That would be a good time to do it. But like if randomly doing it like throughout the show, it kind of feels like it gets overused.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
that can also take away from the specialty of it. I remember the first time I saw the drone shot was when it was Logan Paul had they were in Saudi Arabia. He was up and he was getting ready to do a splash or something, and they had the drone loop around. I thought that was awesome. You
Yeah,
know?
that was cool. That was,
then
I agree.
And then other times with Jay Uso, he'll be doing the yeets with the crowd. So then the drone will come in and it will circle around him and show the crowd and stuff. Like, that's cool. So like when you have direction and you really like put it in, okay, boom, we're gonna specifically get this shot and stuff, then that makes a lot of sense to me. But not when you just randomly just show like, oh, this is a packed crowd. Like, yeah, that's cool and all, but you don't need to use the drone to show a packed crowd.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely overused. Now, since we talked about the shots, I feel like we got through our production kind of commentaries.
Actually, here's
one more.
one other production thing, and actually they use this on both shows. Is one of my favorite things they do now. They've been doing with WWE is the superstar walking from the back and then going through Gorilla.
Oh yeah,
and then
that's
and
a
then
really
coming
good
out
shot.
and doing their intros and such. I love that. You know, it works great for different people like CM Punk, Kevin Owens, Jacob Fatu.
Oh my God,
I think
Jacobs.
Jacob Fatu is my favorite person whenever they do that shot, because when he starts talking, from coast to coast.
I'll beat you behind from post to post.
I'm like, ah, get in there.
I'm all gas, no brakes. That's on his shirt now, which is I need it. And then you hit him with the
Two, hit my music.
I love it when they do that. I love it when they go through Gorilla and they look at him like, yo, hit my music. Because him and Jey Uso, I feel like they definitely take that the most.
Yeah.
Like when Jey Uso goes up, like, hey, yo, man, does his thing, he talks to the crowd and everything like that. And, then he goes, hey, Oos, please, hit my music. And also, yeet. And then he goes out. I feel like that really helps. And Jimmy was doing it recently too. And he did the no. He's like, he's like, but I'm about to go out here and hit him with the no yeet.
Yeah.
And he was, hey, Oos, hit my music. And then he would just go out.
Yeah.
It's definitely that's a benefit for both shows. So, but I will say that is definitely agreed. They have to keep that.
Yeah. So, but you were getting ready. So, what did you want? Was the next thing you wanted?
So I want to say we talked about those now. Obviously production wise, let's talk about like roster. Now, in your opinion, whose tag division do you think is flourishing a little more right now? Like, unfortunately, I will say that both tag divisions feel like they're kind of like in a weird place. But who do you think right now is taking advantage of their tag division more?
The best tag division right now is SmackDown, hands down. I mean, SmackDown has the current tag champions, DIY, Pretty Deadly, and they're actually building everybody else. Street Profits. I mean, they're properly building each team, and every team seems to be viable. Like before, Pretty Deadly was just like, hey, we're working on Pretty Deadly the musical, which I cannot wait. I want to see Pretty Deadly the musical.
You heard it. You heard it first here. Pretty Deadly, please, Mr. Thato D needs that musical.
I need that musical. I need that Pretty Deadly musical. And so they have really bigged them up, and I'm like, wow, okay. And then the Legado
del Fantasma.
Yeah, they
Los Garzas, that's the team.
Los Garza. Yeah. I mean, they have gone up in my eyes as a tag team. I'm actually, you know what? I want them to actually get a shot, and obviously, we have Motor City Machine Guns. They came in, they got the titles. We've had DIY as the current champion, Street Profits, who I'm rooting for. They're my number one. I'm rooting for.
They're definitely my number ones now. Yeah, I agree.
But then now you have these other guys, Pretty Deadly, and you have
Los
Los
Garzas.
Garças, these ones are really coming up, and I think
Jamie
it's
just saying their
quality.
name because they're Spanish.
Probably. I apologize, my Spanish viewers.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, but anyway, the whole thing is that this tag division's actually feeling pretty solid. Now, with flip sides, over back to Raw.
My problem with Raw's tag team, and I'm gonna just say this, it's gonna be easy. They only have been featuring 2 teams. It's been the War Raiders and the Judgment Day, really, and then what?
And then an American Made.
American Made, I feel like only just started getting featured. What was it? Within the last like 3 to 4 weeks, we started seeing American Made, and I was like sitting wondering, like, why are you holding these teams back? And that's the thing that sucks even more, is because off the top of my head, and I apologize, this is no disrespect to any of them on any Raw roster member, but I can't think for the life of me of any other crazy tag teams that are up there.
New Day.
But do you see what I mean? Because
New Day and LWO.
Again, same thing though. Like with the LWO members, I feel like they don't even get really featured that often unless it's like Dragon Lee or Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Selena Vega. Oh my God, I love Selena Vega so much. I'm so happy she got moved to SmackDown, and I hope that she's now that she's on there, she's going to flourish in her own way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you guys aren't featuring a lot of people, and you got people forgetting that they're there.
Right.
Like that New Day turn was big.
Yeah.
Why did you guys wait so many weeks to even have the New Day even appear for their first match?
Change their music, everything like that, and it took a really long time, and that took a toll on the hype and momentum. They could have really ran with it. Now, necessarily, they didn't have to win the tag championships right off the bat. They had a story going on, but they could have really pushed them more to really keep them in front of people, get people to continue to boo them, and build this story.
Yeah, I mean, the backstage segments are cool and all, but I'm like, you gotta put these guys in the ring.
Yeah.
Put these guys in the ring. Like, this is the New Day, arguably probably one of the greatest tag teams that have ever graced the mat.
Yeah.
You cannot just keep having them just sit in the back. Especially when you have like tag teams, that are like trying to vie for those titles. And the New Day right now is like, I feels like they're like struggling to try to get back into the light. We've had like these like single match moments and stuff like that, and recently started to see the tag matches, but like, again, like you kind of forget that they're there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with obviously featuring your champions, but the War Raiders don't have to wrestle every night. You can have your other teams competing for number 1 contender spots. Because I feel like there haven't really been any number 1 contender matches for the tag titles on Raw. They're just kind of just throwing people together. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna have these 2 people fight. We're gonna have these 2 people fight.
Yeah.
Some of the Judgment Day segments are literally Dominic Mysterio saying like, oh hey, I just went and talked to Adam Pearce and I got you guys a match for the tag titles. It's like, so nobody's competing for anything really. No one's competing for a spot. They're basically just getting that spot because they're trying to fill the time slot. And I'm like, you're hurting your teams.
Right.
Now, obviously we have like the rumors with like Penta, his brother is apparently going to be possibly coming to Raw, more likely probably in the next few weeks.
Yeah, right now he's getting his medicals done right now, and that's what you need to. That's a preliminary before you get a contract or anything.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to probably see Rey Fenix very very soon, which we will see. Which will thankfully we'll see the the reunion hopefully of the Lucha Brothers. I'm really, really, really excited about that. I love Penta. I'm a big fan of Penta. And, I love Rey Fenix as well. I'm big on, like, especially the support for Latino, wrestlers. So, like, I would love to see them there because they would definitely be a great tag team. Whether they're individuals or tag teams, they're going to be great. But it kind of feels like now you guys have to, like, start makeshifting some teams because now it looks like we're going to be it looks like they're kind of shoving Kaiser and Butch.
Butch.
Are we going to get in trouble if we say Butch?
Butch.
Is he going to show up?
Butch.
Pete Dunne.
Butch.
Butch. Don't say it. He's gonna. Okay, we're good. It's like playing Bloody Mary.
Right.
Oh man, somebody clip this. Somebody clip this and send it to him. He's gonna be so angry. But yeah, we kind of seems like we're getting like Pete Dunne and him slapped together, which is kind of crazy because like. His I guess it makes sense because Tyler Bate, his original tag team partner, is kind of just like not there. He got injured a while back, and I haven't seen any reports of him making any type of in-ring return. So yeah. I guess it's a good way to kind of give us another tag team. But then I kind of worry because like you know, when you slap two people together that kind of look like they didn't make sense originally, like, it's like a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like, it worked great when, like, Sheamus and Cesaro did it,
Yeah.
but then it's like, I also don't want them to kind of just be like a makeshift tag team just to fill a spot.
hmm
I need them to feature the actual tag teams.
Yeah.
So definitely, we both agree. SmackDown definitely right now has the superior pushing for their tag teams.
All right. So then we just talked about the tag division. What about women's division? How do you feel about that? I mean, I think I honestly think the SmackDown women's division is a bit stronger than the Raw. And my take on it is that we have a lot of currently you have Jade Cargill, you have Naomi, you have Bianca Belair,
Mhm.
you have Nia Jax,
Mhm.
you have Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton. I mean, that's stacked.
Yeah.
Now Raw is also stacked too, with in its own right with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Lyra. I forgot for Chelsea Green on SmackDown. Sorry, Chelsea, my bad.
We were just talking about how much we love
Forgiving
you.
us, Chelsea.
Forgive us.
Forgive us.
Chelsea, we love you. Don't do this. Don't. She's going to deport us.
Right.
She's going to deport us. I don't know where she's going to deport us.
She's gonna subscribe and unsubscribe.
That's her way of deporting us. You have been deported from Chelsea's America.
Oh man, but but going back, so when you get all right, so let's talk about the top people. Like obviously you have on like we just mentioned, like Rhea Ripley.
Raw, you have Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Lyra Valkyria. You have what's her name from American Made?
Ivy Nile.
Ivy Nile, yeah. So I think that yeah,
technically I'm not sure, but Becky Lynch is a Raw one, but I mean
she's still listed, I think, on Raw, but
Yeah.
she's not being used right now. She obviously doesn't
Correct.
come back. So I will say that I think I have to agree with you that SmackDown definitely. I think that if you're talking main eventers, I mean, I will say that maybe Raw has a little more in that aspect. But if you're talking about women's utilization as a whole, I would definitely say SmackDown, definitely, because you have your Candice LeRae and Nia, and then your Tiffany and everything, and we're seeing a lot of those women featured all the time, and I think that third hour in SmackDown is helping them with that stuff. But versus when we go to Raw, I mean, most of the segments up until like recently were literally Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez beating up somebody, and then Liv Morgan.
Oh shoot, we didn't even mention Liv in the list of people for Raw.
And I think that the issue more or less with that was, and this is, I hope that this is not going to be taken in any disrespect too, but I think Liv was a little too featured. I mean, she's had a phenomenal year, and I'll give her credit for that. And I'm a fan of Liv Morgan. I love Liv Morgan, but I feel like the issue with Liv Morgan is that she was kind of in everything, and then she was also like crossed over into SmackDown a lot with Raquel.
Yeah.
So I feel like if anything, there might be a little bit of fatigue because obviously she's one featured in every Judgment Day segment. Two, she usually was featured with every tag segment with obviously Raquel. Now they are the tag team champions, which I mean, congratulations to that. We're definitely not going to see anything like change with that. We're going to see them featured a lot, but now they're going to float a lot more between the shows. So, but I will say that if you go with like who features their women more, it definitely is SmackDown. We see Nia featured all the time with Candice LeRae. And I love that because Candice LeRae, I feel like we're starting to get lost in that shuffle in the back.
Mhm.
And now she's teamed with, because obviously when they separated her from her partner recently that they let go, oh my goodness,
I know, it's the tip of my tongue. I can't remember.
it's on the tip of my tongue, and I hate it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say her name in like literally like an hour now. But yeah, when she got let go from the company, and then like Candace, I worried that Candace was gonna get lost in that shuffle, but she didn't. She ended up with Nia, which was fantastic for her. And then you have like Tiffany. Oh my gosh, she's doing so great. She's such a great wrestler, and she's doing so great. And she's featured in rap matches pretty often now, which is good as a champion. But the one thing I will also give SmackDown when it comes to their champion for the women's division is Chelsea is featured a lot more than
Mhm.
Lyra.
Yeah.
We discussed this last episode too, that Lyra is featured in matches, but Lyra is not featured backstage.
Right.
And I feel like that hurts because we get told she's in a random match. Oh,
Mhm.
meet Chim also on SmackDown as well. Piper Niven. Now look, more women are popping up than my head for SmackDown.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, they're definitely thriving. I think that Raw needs to feature more of their women and especially start featuring more of their mid card women's champion because the one thing I don't want to happen is that title get lost in the shuffle.
Yep. 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 I totally agree with that. I think you made some excellent points on that. Let's go over to the men's mid card. Okay. So, men's mid card, we have LA Knight. You know, he's the top dog in the SmackDown side. And then we have Braun Breaker, top dog on the Intercontinental side. So, now we got to think about, okay, well, who are the different people who are using the mid card right now? We got guys like The Miz, we got Mello, we have Andrade. Like, those are the guys. Braun Strowman. You know, those are a lot of people that are typically even Big Jim, Jimmy Uso in that side. And then on the Raw side, we've had Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, Pete Dunne actually every once in a while too in the mid card. Penta is in the mid card. I mean, how do you feel the mid card?
So if you're talking mid card, just mid card by itself,
Yeah.
I think they're very even.
Yeah.
I think they feature both of their mid cards very, very well. If you to ask me champion, SmackDown is definitely more superior. I haven't seen Braun Breaker have a match for defending that title in weeks. I can't even remember the last time. It's been weeks since we actually seen him in the ring, you know, actually like battling it out with somebody, you know, and that makes me sad because Breaker is phenomenal. I love it, you know, when he comes out. I mean, my son do it, and he goes, "Is there any dogs barking in?" And we do it. Hoo, 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 hoo.
Yeah.
You know, and he's great. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. That man is literally taken from his family.
Yeah, right.
He is legitimately a genetic freak in his own right, and I mean that in the best way possible. His Frankensteiner it scares the crap out of me because I'm just like, oh my god, please don't land on your head.
Yeah.
And he's so quick. He's so quick. He's so powerful. His spear, it's crazy that the way he bounces off the ropes, his power, everything is great about him. Like literally pound for pound, he's a phenomenal champion. And we have not seen him use his title for anything recently.
Yeah.
And that's not his fault.
Oh, AJ Styles is in the mid card right now too, and I think if they can build up a good rivalry between the two of AJ and Braun Breaker, they could definitely get something really going on and stuff. But I think even with that, you know, looking at the mid cards, I don't see a direction for a singles match for either of those championships. I see both of those championships in some kind of multi-man matches, whether a fatal four-way or a battle royal or something like that, just so that way, I mean, it gets the title on the show for WrestleMania, and it also gets a lot of these people to get featured in a way.
I agree. And this is no way, shape, or form am I saying like either one of them are like, you know, like I will straight up say both champions, you know, championships are being very underly utilized. You know, their mid card champions are not doing great because they're just not on the show. When Shinsuke was champion, you know, all we saw was like him just lurking backstage. I loved his promos. Don't get me wrong, his promos were crazy good. I loved them. But it's like, you know, you're not doing anything. Why is, you know, he's had some title defenses recently, but like, you know, just to be like, oh, well, he's had more title defenses recently than Braun Breaker. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't say much because both of these champions, you had two phenomenal superstars, you know, and now LA Knight is in there. And again, you have two strictly pound for pound great men, but they're not being used. And, you know, you're going into Mania now, and you guys are, their main event scene is flourishing. Their tag division's starting to, you know, build itself a little bit. The women's division is, you know, on and off doing pretty great. But like their mid-card champions for the men are kind of like lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I really want to see both of those featured more than anything. I think that SmackDown did a good job of having their championship defended recently in a main event. And with LA having it change hands even helps it more. I just want them to now allow the champion to show himself off more. I hope that, you know, especially with somebody like LA Knight, he's too good on the microphone. Like I will say right now that he's probably one of the greatest men to put a mic in the hand of, because that man can just ad lib off of anything. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think LA Knight definitely, between the two of them, they're mid card champions. LA Knight's going to be he's really good on the mic. I mean, when I see him come out, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, LA Knight. Braun Breaker, he's actually been excelling a lot better. I've seen him grow a bit more, where they're not trying to get him to get on the mic and talk and be like that crazy, like, oh, okay, that's a nice line, like a LA Knight, but he's more like, he says what he says. It's very precise what he needs to say. Then he gets out and he kicks some butt.
Yeah, he does. He does exactly what needs to be done, especially for a character like him. He's that clearly like, I'm here for action. I'm not here for words. And he's definitely somebody that needs to do that. You know who I really hope they actually involve that might help that card title?
Who?
Cross.
Who?
Cross.
Oh, Karrion Kross, yeah.
I think Karrion Kross needs to be involved in that title. Um, that man can sell anything to anybody. That man is there to, you know, you talk about The Rock taking a soul right now. Karrion Kross, the Kross Effect right now. If you don't know what the Kross Effect is, look it up right now. It is an actual thing. Karrion Kross has caused probably more people to change sides than most titles.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
All right.
And I love the little snippets that we see right now. Like one of my favorite things is the whole like he wears his hair the same way as like somebody he's talking to that eventually ends up allowing the darkness to take control of him.
Yeah, he shadows them. He mimics them. So
The
it's
only
kind of
one-
like making himself seem more trustworthy
Yeah.
per se.
The only one that he's I still say that he still fell for it, but the only one that they say like, oh well, Sammy didn't cross sides. I'm like, no, Sammy let into his inner darkness when he fought KO in that unsanctioned match. He did give into his inner darkness. Just because he didn't change to from a face to a heel does not mean that the Kross Effect did not hit him. It did hit him.
Yeah.
And now AJ is also on his radar. So I'm like, what's about to happen?
Yeah. So all right, and then now we have the main event. Ooh, you all right?
Yep.
All right, and then now we're on to the main event, like roster and such. So we have on SmackDown, Cody Rhodes. He's the top dog. I mean, Solo Sikoa was up there for a bit, but I think he's starting to come out of that. You know, you have Drew McIntyre, who's in the main event scene. Damian Priest.
I'm so happy to see Priest in there.
Roman Reigns obviously is up there. Then let's jump over, and obviously I might have missed some people and such. So, but then we jump back over to Raw. On the Raw side, you have CM Punk, so you have Seth Rollins,
Jey Uso,
you know, Jey Uso, and you have
Gunther.
Gunther. So you got those kind of guys who are like probably typically your typical main eventers and whatnot. Like, how do you feel about that one?
I think, and this is another one I have to give to SmackDown. SmackDown has definitely featured a lot of the main event guys a little bit more. And I feel like the biggest thing that helps SmackDown is that their champion shows up to every show, and their champion either fights or is featured in every show. Gunther, I understand he's a heel, and I know that the heel is supposed to not always, like, he doesn't always have to fight, and that's fine. But Gunther doesn't do enough to me to make me warrant like him wanting to be wanting him to be champion. I feel like he kind of gets like he's just there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he's just not there. And this was my problem. This has always been my problem with like anybody who becomes a champion. If you're holding that belt and you're not showing up on the show, whether you're heel or face or not, then put the belt on somebody else at that point.
Right.
This is not a place that you should be having that belt on somebody and then you end up forgetting who the champion is. Like, you know, if your mid-card champion gets featured more than your world champion, then what are you doing?
You're having a problem, yeah. And that was one of the things that when Brock Lesnar was champion, I hated that so much. Like, he would only appear, like Brock Lesnar would appear like once every 2 months, and then he'd get a match. But I was like, come on, man. And you definitely need your champion on the show. Like,
You do.
You know, at the bare minimum, just show up. The bare minimum, just show up. But like, and that's what, like you said, it's hurting Gunther, and it's where Cody excels. Where Cody may not wrestle every night, but he's there.
Yeah, that's all you need to do is just the presence. Your presence there is enough. You know, Roman Reigns was. Look at him when he was. If I know, like this is an argument that they're like, oh, well, heels don't always show up. And it's like, yeah, but it wasn't until the end of Roman's reign. You know, funny. It was to the end of Roman's reign as champion is where he started to kind of slide off because he was allowing himself to get cocky. He was allowing himself to be like, I don't need to be here. So I'm going to let Jimmy and Solo and Paul Heyman kind of take the lead here. I'm going to stay home. And, you know, that's fine because you still have a presence of yourself on there, but as the extension of some other people. Because Imperium is no longer a thing for Gunther, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Gunther just kind of feels like he fades into the back a little bit and then just pops up and he's like, oh, I'm here to talk smack and tell everyone how great I am. And it's like, it's such a tiresome trope.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, no, I don't like this. And I don't like this new Gunther. I liked it when Gunther had that ego, that cockiness, but like he could back it up. Like you can't deny he couldn't back it up. Now, granted, he's had like a couple matches recently. He had his match with Akira Tozawa and he had his match with Otis, which was great. But like at the same time, it's like, you know, now we kind of like we're approaching the WrestleMania very quickly, and it's like we're only now seeing our world champion.
Yeah.
Versus like Cody's been there almost every single SmackDown.
Yeah,
I don't think that he really misses them.
yeah. No, Cody. I mean, Cody is the superior champion between the two, and Cody. I mean, he gets butts in the seats, and they know that, and they know that Gunther doesn't. He's not a person who pushes the needle for people to want to come out and see. So on a business aspect, I guess I could see where it's like, oh well, he brings the prestige to the championship because of like who he is and that record and all that, King of the Ring and all that kind of stuff. But like Cody, he's the one that like you see Cody Rhodes is on the thing. Oh yeah, I got to be there. I got to see
Oh,
Cody.
absolutely.
I mean, even a person like CM Punk or Seth Rollins, you see their names and you're like, oh, I got to be there. You see Roman Reigns, oh, I got to be there.
Yeah.
And such. That's not what Gunther does. Gunther's more of a like you like, oh, okay, Gunther's in the match, but it's not more like, oh, I have to be there because Gunther's there. You're more
exactly.
Like, you're more like, hey, okay, cool. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, like it's sad because it's like, you kind of remember like you see like, oh yeah, you remember who the champion is, but it's like it's hard to get excited of somebody that you barely see often.
Yeah.
It's not like is he good in the ring? Absolutely. I will never deny that Gunther has a phenomenal talent in the ring. But the problem I have with him is that the fact is that he comes in, talks a smack, and walks out. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing more than that. And then he's gone for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then he comes back. Versus like Cody, again, go ahead, Cody haters, say whatever you want to me. Yes, I'm defending Cody Rhodes. I will continue to. Cody shows up, does his thing, and I think that the beautiful thing about Cody Rhodes is that he can say the cheesiest thing in the world, and he still has the crowd eating out of his hands.
Yeah.
Take it to Chamber when he was like, we were waiting for that answer. What is he selling his soul to The Rock or not? And he was able to he just literally, again, it was the cheesiest line you can think of, but because of the way he delivered it,
yeah,
that was what sold everybody. He said, I sold my soul to this ring and these people a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then he dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah.
but it's like, it was such a cheesy line, and you're like, oh man, that guy sells that. He can sell it.
Yeah.
He's definitely, to me, I definitely think that he's eventually going to, I wouldn't say replace John Cena, but he's definitely John Cena's like, the character persona that we need. He's definitely the hero that we need to replace Cena.
Yeah.
And I think that he definitely sells it way better. So definitely SmackDown again takes another dub.
Okay. All right, man. So it sounds like between the two of us, we are definitely more into SmackDown with how they have everything structured. But hey, maybe you guys like Raw better, and we'd love to hear from all of you to let us know. Check us out on social media at Boyz of Attitude and the Men of Now. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can comment here on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, reach out. We'd love to chat with y'all.
Yeah, definitely reach out. Put those comments down there. Get some conversations. We'll definitely, maybe we can start featuring some of these comments on some of our videos later on. But we got to see the comments. Put them down below. Also, be respectful though. Also, we're gonna ask for that.
Yeah.
If you disagree with somebody, you can absolutely disagree with somebody, but don't attack nobody.
Yeah. Comment, subscribe, and like and subscribe. And we look forward to hearing from y'all. And have a great day.